Hello everyone, Blue Dragon Studios here, and welcome to my lair. Man, it's been a long way, and I want to thank to all my subscribers who are continuing to support this wonderful series. And right now, we're about to enter the epilogue of my story of the first book, Tales and Scales: The Empty Throne. And also, after I do my epilogue, I want to question, should I also try to do some reviewing video games and reviewing some books so I can maybe keep up? And also want to let you guys know I am getting close to finishing up my sequel, and I will try to get it into the process of publishing as soon as possible. Well, this is the Blue Dragon Studios, and let's enjoy the epilogue. Tales and Scales: The Empty Throne. Epilogue: Invasion by Fire. 21 winters later. In the middle of the night, a group of 7 hooded riders is seen galloping to an old ruin that looks like a rundown fortress of an unknown location somewhere in the swamp. Among the riders, one is carrying a prisoner with a bag over his or her head, while the claws are bounded by mithril cuffs. Inside the fortress, they all dismount their snaguanas, hitching them up to a nearby post. With 2 dragging the prisoner, they approach a pair of rusty old gates. The leading rider raises one claw and chants an old spell in a sinister tone, making a pair of strange runes appear on each door of the gates, allowing them to open slowly by themselves. The figures enter the building into a deserted hallway with torches lighting up purple flames, revealing cobwebs as they pass by. Behind them, the gates slam shut, making a booming sound, causing dust to blow. The figures approach the end of the hall and open another door, to be greeted by a massive circular room crowded with more hooded figures waiting for them. They are all gathered around a large round table with various tapestries of the mysterious purple skull representing the group hanging above. The 7 figures make way to a round table with a purple stone in the middle. The leading figure raises both claws, making them glow purple, followed by the others. They chant a spell, making the purple stone glow and reveal a magical hologram, revealing yet another figure in the shadows. The prisoner is thrown off and caught by the leading figure and removes the bag, revealing a terrified Clara, who turns out to be freed from her prison some time ago. She looks around in fear, knowing that she is in trouble, then freezes at the sight of the specter. The figure looks at her with a pair of large, frowning purple eyes, visible from the shadows.
What happened? What happened?
The figure in the hologram booms, with his voice filled with authority. There is also a hint of disappointment. Clara, still with her claws bound, struggles, trying to come up with an excuse for her failure.
My lord, I swear that the kingdom was about to be cleansed as you wanted, but there was a complication.
What complication? You and Epilogue were tasked with dismantling the kingdom for us to take.
The figure, who seems to be the leader of the necromancers, has no patience for petty excuses. Clara, however, who continues to shake in fear, tries to defend her actions once again.
Master Necrosis, please show some mercy. It is true that we believe that we got rid of the royal family.
Believed?
The figure raises a brow, knowing a hint of failure in Clara's tone.
Turns out there was another heir of Ultimar under our noses the whole time. We tried to hunt him down, but we have underestimated him, costing Epilogue's life.
The figure makes a bloodlust roar, causing the room to shake as the necromancers cower in fear, except the leading rider, who stands his ground. A pair of wings is heard, popping from behind the leader. Then they retract. The leader finishes his roar. They retract. The leader finishes his roar, gazing back at the cowering burgundy she-raptor.
Bylark was a prominent member of our cause, yet you remained, allowing yourself to be humiliated, while the entire plan got ruined.
I was surrounded! I had no choice!
Clara loudly claims.
You were still foolish enough to act without knowing you were being watched. Not to mention, I heard from my agents that you revealed some of our secrets.
The figure, Necrosis, leans forward out of the shadows to reveal a draconic face, black scales with dark purple runes, narrowish yet broad long snout, large frilled cheekbones, and 4 long horns sticking out backward from the back of his head. Turns out Necrosis is a dragon, and he is not happy, from the way he fumes from his nostrils, making threatening growls, revealing his sharp teeth and fangs.
Regardless of what you did, you and Bylark still failed in your task, and I do not tolerate failure.
Necrosis jabs a clawed finger at Clara. He looks to the leading figure and orders,
take her to be executed.
It will be done, Master.
The leading figure bows to Necrosis and commands 2 of the necromancers to grab Clara and violently take her to another chamber. She begs Necrosis for mercy. The leading figure takes the hood down, revealing a she-raptor having the same scale color and eye color as Necrosis, with a messy purple mane, looking young but with a serious face. She turns to her master and asks,
"What will you do now, Master?"
Hearing that we suffered heavy losses thanks to another fool, Burdick, I have sent some of my kin to reinforce you all, while the rest of you should be prepared. You, however, proved yourself to be very loyal to me, which is why I promote you as the new head of this chapter, Nira.
Necrosis announces, pointing to the raptor named Nira, who in turn makes a small bow.
I am honored, Father,
Nira says, looking up at Necrosis, who turns out to be her dragon father.
Good. Your new task is to prepare our followers. Recruit if you have to, and await my kin for another task, Claw.
With that, the specter vanishes, leaving Nira in the care of the necromancers in Avalonia. Around the shores of Tricia lies a decent-sized fishing hamlet built on top of the shorelines. It is one of the grand fisheries built around Tricia to catch fish, to harvest them for food. In one of the 3 large sheds built around the hamlet, a group of Omega fishermen is seen gathered around the decks inside, collecting the dead mackerel, scooping them with large nets. With every net full they gathered from the pool in the middle, they placed the dead mackerel in one of the row's wagons. Turns out the fishermen raptors of the hamlet took advantage of the mackerel breeding habits by building the fisheries in the middle of their nesting grounds, knowing they returned to mate. When tons of fish enter the shack, the raptors would close the channel gates, trapping the fish, so when they lay their eggs and perish after without drifting away into the ocean, so the raptors could scoop them up from the deck inside. With all the fish collected, the raptors reopened the channel, leading to the ocean so newborn mackerel could swim free and grow up until the next mating season, or harvest to the raptors. With one of the wagons filled with fresh mackerel, one of the male fishermen pulls it out of the shed to take it into the hamlet. The fisherman stops by the main gates to wipe sweat from his head and looks around the ocean scenery with a relaxing breath. That is until he spots something in the distance, widening his eyes along with a big gasp. Whatever he sees makes him rush into the hamlet without the wagon of fish. Across the ocean, a fleet of giant ships is seen in the distance with large sails open to their full strength. Above the ships are golden flags hanging on the center pole with a white symbol in the middle. Operating the ships are multicolored large reptiles called dragons, working the decks, walking around like theropods. They have horns, while some have frills on lower sides of their heads, spines from head to tail, with a blade at the tip, a pair of leathery wings folded on their backs, a pair of arms and claws being used to maintain the ship, padded underbellies from under their necks to the undertail, and they also have snouts, either broad or narrow. Males are seen to be more muscular, while the females are mostly slender. On the main ship, various dragon sailors work the decks, while being watched by the armored guards. The guards wear gold-scaled metal chest armor, bracers, and helmets that resemble those of the Roman Empire. Coming out of the main cabin is a young male dragon, wearing a golden chest armor and bracers on his wrists. He is primarily black-scaled, with a red padded underbelly from his neck to tail and a red padded face in between his orange eyes. A pair of large orange horns is seen sticking out behind, his head upward with two smaller ones below, and rows of orange spines can be seen behind his back, all the way to his tail with a blade shaped like a scythe. The male black dragon closes his eyes and stretches out his black wings, revealing dark red membranes. Then he stretches his arms, making him yawn, revealing his sharp teeth and fangs beneath his snout. Hearing his yawn, a female guard captain standing by the front of the ship shouts, "Imperial Highness at the decks!" making all soldiers and sailors huddle up in 2 rows, with the female guard in the middle. The male dragon chuckles, nodding his head side to side, wanting to tell him that formalities are not necessary. Yet he plays along as he walks along the deck, earning salutes from the dragon's soldiers and sailors alike, all the way to the white-scaled, middle-aged female not wearing her helmet, showing her blue eyes, small teal horns, and her snout with upper lips resembling icicles. White fluffy feathers are seen wrapped around her neck area. She even has a smooth teal underbelly and padded face. "Enjoy your rest, Imperial Highness?" the beautiful female for her age asks with a small smile, standing straight with her claws behind her back. "You don't have to keep calling me Imperial Highness, Captain Hala," the royal male says with a smile. "Just call me Ignis."
"Forgive me, High King Ignis, but as your royal bodyguard and captain of the watch of this expedition, it is my duty to be professional to you, since you are the High King, which means
I become the emperor after my dad. High King Ignis finishes for his bodyguard and captain with a hint of disappointment. Not that he isn't looking forward to be emperor, but he just wants to be treated like a normal dragon.
Of course.
Hala bows to show respect.
However, I have good news.
Really? Ignis perks up, looking excited. Captain Hala takes High King Ignis all the way to the front of the ship, giving him a telescope. With the telescope, Ignis uses it to see a pile of land that they have been looking for. With a gleam in his eyes, he lowers down the telescope, giving it back to Hala, shouting, "Land ahoy!" The invasion by fire begins.